Welcome to Across the Ring. My name is William Mayhem Michaels.
And this is the scientist, Carl Schupfer. And we are here today with Aydan Colt. How are you doing today?
Doing awesome, brothers. Thanks for having me, man. I've been excited, been waiting to get this scratched off my list. So glad that we're here, man. Let's do it.
Heck yeah, man. I'm super excited too because I know you're a really entertaining guy. So this should be some really good footage. So Colt, you've been in the wrestling business for a long time, man. Where did you get your start and what influenced you to pursue a career in professional wrestling?
So basically, ever since I can remember, I've always been a fan of wrestling. We're talking about little kid, growing up, watching wrestling, loved it. I just loved every aspect of it. That being said, it was pretty difficult for me to actually watch it because in the household I grew up, cable wasn't allowed. So it was like, nope, we're not doing any kind of cable. There's too much bad stuff out there. We don't want you guys being influenced. But I had friends, and I had a lot of ways to get around that. So it would be just going to a friend's house. Hey, mom, I'm going to go play with my friends. He lived right across the street. It was like, all right, go ahead and go. And it was like, bro, we're watching wrestling. Like, let's go.
Heck yeah.
If for some reason we did play, it was one of those like, hey, man, put in the VCR, put in a tape. Yeah, that's how old I am. It was a tape, put in a tape, press that record button. And then when you're done watching it, slide it over to me. And I want to cop that too. So actually getting into it, I never thought like I would get into it. It was something I always wanted to do, but it was kind of back in the days where it wasn't as open and it wasn't as easy as it is now.
Mm-hmm.
It was still kind of like hush hush. You had to have that in. So that's why I thought like, man, this is never going to happen for me, whatnot. But long story short, some guy that was working with my girlfriend at the time, he was really into wrestling and he kind of let it slip that, oh, well, I'm being trained by Hurricane Hector. So he's pretty big here. So when my girlfriend told me that, I was like, wait a minute, how's he getting trained? Like, how can, pass me the details. Let me know.
Right.
And so thankfully, he was like, yeah, I'll give you his address. I'll give you his number. Go ahead and call him and see what he says. So once I got that information, it was just, all right, man, let's do this. Gave him a call, let him know my intention. And the cool thing about Hector is he's like, yeah, here's my address. It's, the ring's in my house. It's outside in my backyard. But go ahead and come over. We practice on these days. Show up, and then we'll take it from there. I showed up, went to his backyard, had me sign some paperwork, and then just told me, hey, look, this is the way I run my training. 2 days, we do. I believe at the time he was doing 3 days out of the week. He said, I'll give you 2 classes for free. If you stick around and this is something you want to do, then we'll talk about having you sign and pay your monthly dues and yada, yada, yada. And of course, man, that first day, like, yeah, he ran me through the ropes and he punished me, man. But it was like, once I got my foot in that door, I was not leaving for anything, man.
Before you got into this wrestling school and you're doing all that, were you in any athletics or anything like that kind of prepared you for being a wrestler, or did you go right into wrestling school?
Yeah, actually I wasn't, man. Like in middle school, I played basketball, but being this short, I really didn't play. So I practiced basketball a lot. Come game time, I was eating a lot of bench, man.
Yeah.
So
fine, I know that feeling.
yeah, man. So I mean, at some point you smarten up and you realize, all right, man, this isn't happening for me. But because I had also realized, like, yeah, I'm a pretty short dude, doesn't look like I'm gonna grow. I started hitting the weights pretty early. So that kind of got me a little athletic, in the athletic aspect of I wasn't gonna completely die when I got into it, but to answer your question, it was pretty much just I got into it. No amateur wrestling, didn't have a background in any of that. That kind of wrestling didn't interest me, right? Rolling around and getting grapples, which sucks because now I look at it and I'm like, dude, that would have been a really cool thing to do and really beneficial. But at the time, it was just like, no, I was interested in playing basketball, hanging with my friends, and getting girls. So
that makes sense. I mean, also, high school wrestling and all that kind of stuff had a lot of stigmas anyways. I'm sure there's plenty of, just bad taste around that sport and kind of pushed you away from it. But it sounds like being a bit of a gym rat has really helped you out. So that's awesome.
Yeah. To an extent, though, I'll give that little to an extent. So anybody that's looking to get into the business, you could be as fit. You could have a background, running marathons and sprints. But once you get in the ring, it's a totally different animal. And there's no conditioning. There's nothing you can do that'll prepare you for what it's like to be in that ring. It's completely different.
And I'm a contestant to that because I did try out many years ago. I had just gotten out of the military, and it was 2009, and I ran marathons, and I didn't cut it. So you're right.
It's tough. It's tough, man. But
yeah,
everything happens for a reason, man. Look at the benefit that you're doing to the business as a whole with what you're doing right now. So
that's right. So I know you said you had no cable growing up, so you were still in VHSs, as I remember.
Oh yeah,
when we was kids, trying to watch. What was your family's response, and who was your biggest supporter when you decided to pursue professional wrestling?
Yeah, it was not good, man. My mom, she was my best friend, man. I was a big time mama's boy. But she hated wrestling. Like with a passion, she hated wrestling. So growing up, I always wanted the wrestling toys. Go to KB Toys, and it's like, oh, I want that wrestler. And my mom was like, nope, I'll never spend money on wrestling. Like, if you get birthday money, Christmas money, and you want to buy it, that's on you. My dad was kind of like, I don't care. Do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
It's your money. It's your joy. My dad was more of the, yeah, you really think that's going to support you in the future? No, go ahead and do it. Get out of your system. But you need a job. You need an education. You need something you could fall back on. So when the news came that, hey, I'm training, it was kind of, on both of them, it was kind of like, okay, cool. Like, awesome. Good job. You're doing what you said you always wanted to do. But when the time came of like, hey, I'm actually going to have a match, my mom was like, I wish you the best. I'm so happy for you because I know you're happy, but I'm not going to watch. And like, I will never go to one of your matches.
Oh man.
Because I can't. And my mom, she was the type of, she would, when I was watching wrestling or whatnot, she would see where I had the tape and, Mom, come look at this. This is so cool. And she'd watch it and she'd like cringe up. Oh, no, leave him alone. And she'd get into it like, oh, that guy's so mean. Get away from him. They need to do something. So she didn't want to see me go through that.
Yeah.
So she's like, I wish you the best, son. Go do awesome. Do everything. Please don't get hurt. You have my full support, but I just can't sit through it. And my mom was a real worry
Very protective.
person. So she was like, I'm not going to put myself through that. And I didn't, I mean, as much as I would have loved for her to at least seen one of my matches, I know that it would have been really tough on her.
Yeah.
So she never saw, but she heard everything that I went through. My dad was the one that, even though he could care less, like he showed up to a few of my shows and he saw a few of my matches, and, he was cracking up and laughing and saying, who the hell is that? Who the hell is that up there? That's not my son. I don't know where this has come from, but like, damn, you're entertaining, son.
Yeah.
Glad you're having fun and keep it up. So we're all supportive, but yeah.
How old were you at that time when you started having your matches and stuff like that?
Let me do some math here, brother.
Well, I will tell you, he said VHSs and he said KB Toys. So
Yeah,
right.
So I'm up there in age, man.
Yeah, he up there with me.
I'm up there in age. So I was about 25, 24, 25. Give or take. So I was a little up there in age.
What happened to your life getting from, graduating high school to 25, getting into wrestling school?
Sucks, man. But what happened is I went the route of high school, graduated high school. School was easy to me. I hated it. I hated it with a passion, but it made my mom happy for me to get good grades. Mm-hmm. So again, being the mama's boy, there I was, straight A student, top of my class. So in order to make my mom happy and to get her to go, so starting the wrestling school here was phase 1. Phase 2 was, hey, Mom, there's this school in Philadelphia, and I'm going to go over there and give this a real shot. But her stipulation was, you graduate college, and then you have my blessing. And my dad backed her up on that as well. He said, you know, and it went back to his, you need to have you need to have money. You need to have a fallback plan. But life throws curveballs, man. So instead of doing that, first day of college, I met my then ex-wife. So we started dating from college. And then instead of, when the big day came of, I was done with college, I graduated, but instead I took the route of getting married instead. So it was kind of like, you know, wrestling's not gonna happen. I'll do it here, but I'm gonna focus on getting married and starting a family.
You kind of ended up kind of doing both, right? You
Mhm.
went through, you got a good fallback like your parents really wanted, but you still then chased your dreams, you know, fulfilling, you know, expectations there and being able to chase that. I think that's also awesome that you're talking about how, you know, you have different plans about what you want to do with, you know, a wrestling career, but you know, different things come in the road and, you know, give you a different journey than you expected. But, you know, you're here today with us, clearly still wrestling and chasing your dream. So it sounds like, you know, roadblock weren't stopping you.
So I know you kind of broke into AWF, which is Arizona Wrestling Federation. You've been the Unleashed champion, and someone told me that you might have been like the first Rumble winner for them. Is
Oh
that
yeah, man.
correct? Yeah.
I was, dude. And I got a lot of heat from the boys in AWF, man. A lot of heat.
So I kind of want to hear about that. How did that come along the road? Because this was a story I was told after I booked you for this show. So
Oh, awesome, man. Yeah, man. So the way it happened was I was wrestling here in El Paso. I got my debut, got my blessing, and then I was wrestling constant lucha type matches.
Mhm.
But one of the other guys that was trained by Hurricane was a guy named Andy Palafox. Uh, great dude, man. Great dude. Great wrestler. Love the guy to death. But he gave me that big break. He was traveling everywhere. So he was going to Austin with ACW, and then he was going to Arizona with AWF. He was going everywhere.
Mhm.
He took a liking to me, man. And again, he'll never know how grateful I am to him. I tell him we talk constantly, but I owe a lot to him because he was the one that said, "Hey, if you're interested, I can get you out to Arizona. How does that sound?" And I said, "You know what, man? Like, if the promoter will have me, I'm down. Just let me know." And so they came where he's like, "All right, man, it's gonna be on this weekend. There's gonna be 5 of us in one small ass little car. Don't pack a lot of stuff, and it's just gonna be a road trip. Be ready." So I said, "All right, man, let's go." Typical wrestling, you know, wrestling traveling in on the indies. 5 guys crammed up in a tiny little small ass red car. Packed like sardines, man. I'm the newest of the bunch. These guys kind of had history with each other. I was the new kid. So it was kind of like, I'm gonna stick to my window. I'm not gonna say nothing. I'm gonna stay quiet, observe. But they were really cool dudes, really cool dudes, really nice. They welcomed me. We get there to Arizona. I meet the promoter, and this guy at this point, I don't think there was any footage on me at all.
Mhm.
I think it was just one of those things. Andy said, "I got a guy that can come down with us."
Mhm.
And Andy at the time was really up there. You know, he was either in their title contention at the time or he was their champion. So I'm assuming the promoter took him on his word, obviously, because when I showed up and this guy sees this 5 foot nothing little dude pop up and, "Hey, sir, how's it going? You know, my name's Aydan. Glad to be here." Keep in mind the promoter, Jared, you've seen him. The guy's, you know, damn near 7 feet,
Yeah,
you
he's a
know,
big
tall.
dude.
So
He's a big dude.
yeah. So he says, "All right, well, you know, thanks." So this is my debut match. And he's like, "I'm gonna have you in the Rumble. Talk to all of you guys in the Rumble a little later." I'm like, "All right, cool." So Andy's comes up to me, "Hey man, who you going up against, brother? What's going on?" I said, "Ah, dude, I'm in the Rumble." And independent wrestlers, or at least anyone that knows me, when it comes to Rumbles, it's a clusterfuck, man. Sorry for the language, but it is.
It's all good.
It's like oh damn, man, I'm in the Rumble. All right, at least I'm here. That's how I took it. At least I'm here. I'm out of state. I'm getting my name to people who don't know me. He gathers all of us together. He's all right. I got a basic rundown of what's gonna happen, what I want happening, this, and this. Final four are gonna be you guys. You know, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, and I'm one of them. So I'm like, oh shit, cool. But to be fair, it wasn't like I was coming in first or second. You know, I was coming in mid. So it was like, all right, it's understandable. And then he's talking a little more, and then it turns out, and you know, you're gonna go over. So, oh shit.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Cool, man. So awesome for me. Needless to say, a lot of the guys that had some matches there already and had a couple of names, they weren't too happy with that decision. You know, I went out there, I entertained as best as I could. A lot of the crowd had fun with some of the stuff I was doing. So I think it went over well. And I think the fact that it went over well, and because it was my first time there, a lot of these guys that were a little salty, it was because of that. Like, first, it's like, who the hell is this new guy coming in? And all of a sudden, he's going to win. But then on top of that, you know, to have some of the fans interact and actually partake with some of the stuff I was doing, got them kind of like, you know, screw that.
It sounds like you kind of got really launched off of this, right? So you come in and nobody knows you. You have this big, you know, match, you know, you win the Rumble, and now all these fans are super excited for you. You know, that must have been a lot of momentum for you, and then kind of turned into a lot of big matches coming out of that with guys in that promotion, right?
Oh yeah, and that's exactly what happened. I guess Jared either heard or he saw what happened, and he asked some of the other guys, the higher up guys, with their feedback on me, and I'm guessing the right people said the right things. So it was kind of like, hey, we're gonna invite you back for next event. Can you come? This is the date. And it was like, I'm here, brother. You know, I'm gonna keep on coming, man. And it did. It just skyrocketed from there.
I'm doing my homework. I've seen that you've been a champion for PWL and AWF. It's not just AWF.
Yeah.
Correct. You were one of the longest reigning tag team champions of 161 days with Adrian Hawkins. Right. And you were the Unleashed champion. I know you were the world champion for PWL. Is that correct?
Yeah. That's it.
Is there any other titles?
The only two-time.
Only two-time. All right.
PWL champ. I'm current champ again. So the first and only two-time PWL champ. Just got to get that in there to get a shot.
That's awesome. So you've had both singles and tag titles. What's more fun for you? Do you like the tag atmosphere more and doing a tag run, or do you like your holding a singles title and doing like what you're doing now?
You know what, man? To be honest, it's kind of tough to pick which one I like more. I've been a singles champion for a lot more different promotions than I have been a tag. So in AWF, I was a tag champ. PWL, I'm currently the world champ. In XCW, I was the light heavyweight champ, and then I was the world champ for XCW. I was the first world champ for NEW. Unleashed champ for AWF. So singles I like. I do like singles because I think it gives me a better opportunity to get out there with the fans and interact with them. But tag teaming with Hawkins, man, damn. Talk about fun. Talk about just, I mean, when they put us together, it was kind of like we're just going to throw you two guys together. And it clicked, man. And it clicked hot.
I feel like that's how a lot of great tag teams end up being formed, is we're just going to throw you guys together and see what happens. Yep. I know from speaking to you, you're a big WWE fan, and we see that quite a bit on WWE. So, and sometimes it really works. Like, I really thought the bar worked really well with Sheamus and Cesaro back in the day, and that was a total whatever. But I know that you currently work with PWL and you work other promotions outside of PWL. And I know that PWL, Pro Wrestling Legacy, for those who don't know what PWL stands for, is out of El Paso, and they're currently working on building their fan base. They have a bi-weekly show on YouTube, correct?
Yep.
And you can check all their past episodes on it, and I highly recommend it because this guy that we have on right now is entertaining. Entertaining.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Yeah, your hill work is phenomenal. Like I crack up, man.
Awesome.
I watching
Awesome.
you and when I watched you live in AWF, and then watching you in PWL on the episodes, and the way you work the crowd is just phenomenal.
Awesome.
So when you got into working hill, like what do you prefer? Do you prefer the hill or do you prefer working face on your
Man, I prefer heel, man. I love it. I love being a heel. I could say I've worked face maybe like 3 or 4 times in my career.
Mm-hmm.
So not a lot of face work. Which is I just like I like the with the heel, how you said, you know, you were laughing. I had you laughing with some of the stuff I say. And that's what I like, man. So to me, it works being a heel because it gets over what I want to get over. And one of the main reasons why I love wrestling so much. Monetarily, guys want to be the good guy because they get to sell their merch, you know,
Right.
shirts, all this other stuff. Little kids are going to buy the wristbands and whatnot. And that's cool and all. But I like being the heel just because I like people going and I like them laughing with some of the stupid stuff I do. I have no problem, you know, looking like a scared coward or, you know, being stupid. I love that, man. Again, big fan of WWE. I'm used to those cowardly type heels. And then on top of that, what a lot of people don't know, or what's one of the main pushing factors behind me being a heel, is some of these events where I decide to turn it up a little bit and not be so jokester, but like actually really try to get under the skin.
Mm-hmm.
I do it because when I see families sitting together, I love the fact that I could get a whole family to come together and be like, we hate this guy. And to me, I've always thought, if there's a little kid out there that has a father or a mother that's got, you know, like they drink or whatnot, they got that stress from work, and then they come home and the littlest thing happens and right away they're going to snap on them and they're going to jump on them. I like thinking, well, if they're at a wrestling event and Pops he's had a whole week of workload on him, and then he goes to this wrestling event and he's got that one guy where he's like, I just hate you so much. You're this, you're that, F you, this, that. And then his kids are joining in. In my mind, I'm like, all of his frustration and anger is coming out towards me. And then not only is that happening, but then his kids are there too. So now they're all getting to bond. And then after the show, it's like, that one guy, man, I hate that guy so much. Yeah. And it just brings them together, and all of their anger and frustration, it's all out the window, and it's directed at someone like me, which I could take. I could take somebody hating me. I could take someone despising me. I'm perfectly fine and content with it. When I hear people, you know, F you this and F that, and they want to fight or whatnot, it's like, I did my job, man. So thank you, brother.
Yeah, that's awesome. The common enemy philosophy, that makes a lot of sense. You know, that's something you hear quite a lot, wrestling or otherwise. You know, so we've kind of touched on your fandom quite a bit. You know, and you know, your preference as a heel. You know, who are some wrestlers that kind of inspire your character and what you do in wrestling? You know, who are some of those wrestlers?
Nice. Anyone who watches my matches, they know right off the bat, Triple H. Love the guy. That's my number one, Triple H, man. The work that he could do with anybody, to me, always had me glued. I'm to this day, I pop every time I see Triple H. You know, he shows up at a Mania he's not supposed to be at. I'm back to that little kid jumping up and you know, shaking my son like, dude, it's Triple H. Oh my gosh. So influence with Triple H a lot. His spine buster, I love doing the spine buster. And then I do the pedigree as well for a finish. And I call it the homage. And it's just, it was one of those things that I didn't really want to do because I wanted to like reach out to him and be like, hey, I know you're nobody that you would know, but I wanted to use the pedigree because it's kind of a fixed. It's a staple to Triple H.
Right.
But I figured that's never gonna happen, and I'm doing it as a tribute to him, as an
homage.
Triple H. So I say, you know what? Hell, man, I'm gonna do the pedigree. So
That's
I do
pretty
that.
awesome.
Yeah, man, and it's just, you know, if he ever sees Triple H, man, it's an homage to you, all right? The spine buster and the pedigree. And that's the other thing, the spine buster, a lot of people say that Arn Anderson spine buster. I know Triple H got it from Arn, but I got it from Triple H. So I always say, yeah, I hit you with that Triple H spine buster. But
I think that's really interesting that you picked Triple H as one of your biggest inspirations. Not only, you know, because he was such a influential bad guy, but he was also a body guy, right? He was a guy that really hit the gym hard, and it seems like you're a guy that really hits the gym hard as well.
And he's a great worker.
I try, but yeah, but I mean, he's one. Current day, I love Bray Wyatt, man. I love him so much. I think the guy is phenomenal with how creative he is. So when I'm doing promos and whatnot, I try to think, you know, if this was something that was given to Bray, how would Bray go about it? And even though I'll never hit it or I'll even come close to what he does, he's just one of those guys that I think personally has helped me with my promos, because hearing all of his promo work, it's like, man, this guy, he hits different levels. And he says some stuff that you might not catch right off the bat, but then it comes around and eventually it's like, yo, didn't he kind of mention something like that?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he's another big influence on that.
He's a storyteller for sure.
Yep.
When it comes to his promos, because he's one of those, you have to read chapter 3, 4, and 5 to understand chapter 6.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And
I like that, man. I'm a fan of the slow burn. Build me up. Build me up.
I want to know, outside of wrestling, what are some of your interests and hobbies that you do for yourself or with your family?
Honestly, man, it's wrestling. It's wrestling. It's the gym. And not a lot of people know, but it's my two kids. They are my everything, man. Like aside from being a wrestler, which I think I'm pretty decent at. I could give myself some credit, man. I'm pretty decent at wrestling. Being a father, that's my number one thing. They know it. Anybody who talks to me, anybody who gets to know me, not just see me as, you know, this wrestler, but anybody who knows me, they know it's all about my kids. The party scene, I kind of left that back in the days, already did that. Don't need to do it that much anymore. You give me a night out of drinking or a night in, not even doing anything with my kids, but just watching my son play a game or my daughter in her room and me doing something else, and I'll pick that every time. That's it, man. It's wrestling, and
I could totally relate to that. I have 2 kids of my own.
Yeah.
And so, I got one. She turns 13 in September.
Oh,
yeah, boy.
Yeah, my daughter's 10, so I'm reaching your levels, man. The signs are already starting to pop up that I'm like, yeah, this is gonna be rough.
Yeah, it's gonna be rough for sure. You were on AEW Dark episode 102 on 102. February 13, 2023. Yes, and you teamed with Frank Stone. Can you tell us a story about that and how that came to fruition for you?
Oh, boy, I'll tell you what, man. That was one of the most stressful things I've ever gone through in my entire life. It happened fast. I barely made it. And then it was, I'm there. And then it was, we're going to post up the matches. And if you're on, you're on. If you're not, you're not. My brother's a huge AEW fan. And me and him always go back and forth talking about WWE, AEW, this. So he was the first one that knew, like, hey man, there's a possibility I'm gonna be on the AEW. And the guy was stoked. So really, aside from my parents, like my brother, Shields, he's the number one supporter. But all my other brothers and my sister, they all support me. They all love what I'm doing. So thankful for all of them. They post my stuff, they like it, they share it, so it's all great. But he was the one that I was in contact with, like, man, I'm here, I'm backstage, and I'm looking at some of these dudes, they're huge. I'm a kid, so I remember some of the other guys that made it too, that were in the back, local wrestlers. One of them even looked at me and he was kind of like, yo, Aydan, like, calm down, bro, calm down. Because you could see it, man. Like, I was like, oh, shit, I'm here. Oh, this is so cool. And I loved it, man. I loved every second of it. But I was kind of just like, I'm here, cool. So they start doing the matches and they're writing, and then it's one person that's back there, hey man, congratulations. And then it's another two people and hey, congratulations. And then it's another match that they post up, a tag match, and I'm like, damn man, we're kind of getting to the end here and I'm not popping up. And cool thing was Gino was back there also. So Gino told you so. And me and him were kind of, huddled together like, bro, come on, they got to get our names up there. And then I saw they had Lee Moriarty and Big Bill verse, and then they had two wrestlers up there. But the wrestlers' names I knew, they were women. So I'm like, well, damn, AEW, damn, they're not pulling punches, man. Intergender tag match with Big Bill and Lee. Damn. So I was just like, all right, man, it is what it is. And then they're getting down to the nitty gritty, and then the last matches are coming up, and then finally they look and they're like, oh shoot, that's a mistake, and they erase, and then like the gates in heaven, oh, boom, Aydan Colt, Gino told you so. Oh hell yeah, man, we made it, we're on tag team match, we're on, cool. So I'm on cloud 9, man, and I don't care what the match entails. I don't care if I don't get a single move in. I'm just like, I'm here. But I hadn't said anything to my friends that were all going to be there. And I hadn't said anything to my brother. So my friends knew I was backstage because I had bought a ticket to watch the event. And then I let them know, like, hey, man, I'm going to be backstage. So sell my ticket. But they didn't know I was going to be on. It was just one of those, I'm going to be backstage, man. Whatever happens, happens. I might not do anything, but I'm at least going to be back there. So I hadn't told anybody anything, no updates, no nothing. My phone's getting blown up. I don't even have it on me. I'm just like, stay away. I'm getting through this. And then I hit it. So it's like, I'm getting ready to text my brother, hey, I'm going to have this match. But I'm like, nah, I'm going to hold off. Well, I'd say about 30 minutes before they open the doors for the fans to start coming in, Lee comes up and he goes, hey, so apparently I'm gonna be on a different show, so they're gonna make a change to the match. But he's looking at me, so I'm like, all right, cool. And Gino's right next to him, and he goes, "It's gonna be a one-on-one match, Big Bill versus you."
Oh,
he kind of just throws it up there, so I'm like, all right, cool. Like it's gonna be me and Big Bill. Nope. He says that, we're like, all right, cool. I know I look at Gino and I'm just like, and Gino's stoked for me, good dude. And so we're just like, all right, cool. And then Big Bill comes, which one of you is Gino? And it's like, oh, that's him, brother. And he's like, it's you and me, brother. And I was like, oh, okay, well, shit. All right, well, I'm not on. But I was like, well, if they change the card, I could be on a different match. So now I got to hurry up and see. So I run back to the board and I look and it's like boom, 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 boom. Shit, nothing, bro. I am no longer on the card. So I'm like, all right, tough, whatever. I go back to the agent that was in charge and I let him know, hey, I'm not on the card. What do you want from me, brother? He goes, all right, just go ahead and gear back out, get in your all blacks, in case we need you for a segment later to do some backstage or whatnot. Just go ahead and change out and just wait for me here. all right, cool. It was a bit of a downer, but I had a tendency to be real negative, and when something negative happened, it was like, that's it, damn it, blah blah, big old storm cloud, and
Yeah.
leave me alone, let me watch wrestling, and then I'll be cool. But for some reason, I was just like, you know what, it don't matter, man. Let me look at the positives. I'm back here. They got my information. They took some pictures, like up some promo pics of me. I'm meeting some of these wrestlers that I would have never thought I would have met in my life. So I'm just gonna be happy with that. And I hadn't told anybody yet, like, hey, no, never mind, it's not happening. Sorry for coming out, blah blah. But then as more time passed and I changed back out, I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna let my brother know. I won't let my friends know, but I'll let my brother know. So I told my brother in a text, hey, blood, sorry, man. Unfortunately, I'm not gonna be on the card. And I'm going through this big old explanation to him, like, this is what happens. You're not gonna believe it. But at the very end, I'm still positive, like high vibes. I'm just happy to be here. This, and this. And as soon as I send that bad boy, the agent comes and he's like, oh, hey, where's Frank? And I'm like, oh, he's right there. He goes, all right, did they tell you guys? And I'm like, did they tell us what, man? No one's told us anything. And he goes, oh, you guys are in a tag team match against the friends. And I'm like,
Oh man,
brother, say less. So yeah, it was like, he's like, so gear out, because you guys are gonna go on. So it's like, all right, and at this time, they already opened doors. It was 5 minutes before AEW Dark was set. So it's like, dude, we gotta gear out. So I'm like, fastest I've ever changed out in my life. I'm ready to go. I'm telling Frank, like, hey, brother, we're in a tag match. Oh, yeah, against who? And I'm like, the best friends. Where they at? They're right there. All right, cool, blah, blah, blah. So that's how it happened, man. So
that's awesome.
again, it not only was it awesome, I mean, it was nerve-wracking because as the show was going on, I kept on looking at that board like, please don't erase me again. I mean, I'm on positive vibes, but don't do that to me, brother. Like,
So, is what you're telling us then that you send this text to your brother that you're not going to be on the show, and then you end up on the show later?
yeah, man.
Was he there live to watch, or
No, he wasn't. So he lives in Austin.
Okay.
So when I had sent him that, as soon as I pressed send, and then I got that notification, it was kind of like, boom, sorry, dude. I tossed my phone and I got ready. And my friends, they were all in the arena. So they were just waiting out there. And so sure enough, when the going's getting closer, and then I see like, dude, our match is next. We haven't been erased. No one's told us, like, never mind. This is happening. So we go out there, and as soon as I come out, like, I'm looking and I see a lot of the guys that I helped train at PWL. They were in the front. They're like, oh my God, Aydan, blah, blah. And so I'm trying to like keep the smile under wraps, and I'm just like, And I some other people that I don't know where they know me from or whatnot, but I'm hearing like the Aydan, and what I found that was really cool, and what I just finally took in, which I usually don't do, is I actually got in the ring and I took a look out into the arena, and I was scanning it, and I hear these hoodlums just yelling their heads off, and I turn and I look, and sure enough, it's my buddies, and they're like popping off, like, they're doing the scissor made to each other, and it's and I'm smiling, and I'm still scanning, and I see some people that go to the local shows, the PWL shows, and like I'm catching their eyes, and I'm like, oh shoot, like I know that girl, I remember that girl, or that guy goes to some of the shows. So I took it all in, man, and to get the response that I got, it was just the greatest experience I've had in wrestling so far. Because
that's incredible.
Yeah, man. And because it's like, I work here and I'm a bad guy here, and I do a lot of like kind of borderline risque stuff sometimes. So I got a pretty good following of people that don't like me. But the reaction I got there, like, I know it had to do with, oh, he's a hometown dude. He's an El Pasoan.
Yeah.
But just to hear it, it was like, man, this is so cool. I couldn't help but smile and like, sorry, brother, if the camera catches this, but like I'm soaking this all in, and it's just amazing. So yeah, I was on a roller coaster, man.
Yeah.
Roller coaster, but being on there, and then not only that, but then being on the main event of AEW Dark, like, to me, it was just the biggest blessing I've ever gone through, and I was just so thankful, so happy. Trent and Chuck were just so awesome, man. Like, great dudes. And I credit them with that match coming out the way it came out, which I think came out, for as short as it was, I think it came out pretty square. So I'm eternally grateful to them, and it was phenomenal, man.
That's a really awesome story that you told, really giving us the whole experience of what that was like for you. I know as a fan, I'm in Milwaukee, and I've been lucky enough to go to a few AEW shows and see local wrestlers, in my area get to have similar opportunities. And I know as a fan, it's really exciting to see the people that you root for or even boo, in these, smaller shows, get their chance to shine, on a bigger stage. So it's really awesome to hear that it's such a good experience for you as well.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, and along with that, Carl, like, I encourage everybody, man. Everybody who gets a chance that loves wrestling in and of itself, more so with AEW, because they're the ones giving the opportunity to the local talents. When you go out there, just let these local guys have it, because if they're anything like me, it's something that you don't forget, and it sticks with you, and you're grateful regardless of whether it's 2 minutes, 5 minutes, or 6, whether you do something or nothing. It's a experience that's just, it's amazing, man. So, and then to have the crowd there, and like, yeah, we normally boo you, but that's cool to see. I know that, dude. Like, give a little bit of feedback, that makes it all even that much more better.
Yeah, and that kind of plays into the next question I had for you. So, we interviewed Brittany Brooks a couple weeks ago, a couple episodes ago for us. And she said you gave her some advice before she went on AEW's Dark herself, which was to take it all in.
Yep.
So, what advice do you have for anyone that might be interested in pursuing a professional wrestling career?
You know what, man? For that, I say seriously, just go at it. But at the same time, realize what you're getting into. I think there's a lot of great talent out there that hasn't been tapped into. I think a lot of people are scared, or they kind of had that excuse of, I don't know how to go about it. But nowadays, it's so much easier to get into wrestling. Here in El Paso alone, at PWL, we're stepping above and beyond. So Pro Wrestling Legacy is doing things that nobody is doing, especially here in El Paso, where we followed kind of like the WWE model. We have a performance center. So I'm one of the trainers within there, and I help train some of these new guys. So whenever these new guys come in, I always ask them, what is your aspiration here? What's your end goal? Is this something you want to do just to get it out of your system? Is this something you want to do to further it and like actually pursue it? Or is this just something that you're doing just because, hey, I know wrestling and the conditioning of being a wrestler is pretty difficult, so I want to get in shape. And based off of that, it's kind of like, if you're going to pursue this and you want to go for this, by all means, go for it. Push yourself, hit it hard. But with that being said, I also love to go ahead and also let them know, if you really want to make a stand at this and you really want to go at it hard, with all of the stuff that we have available to us now, as far as technology wise, study. That's all it is. Study. Just because you train 2-3 times a week, that's not going to be all of it. Like, watch wrestling, see what's happening, see why they're doing what they're doing, see what connects, see what works. see why it works, and try to understand it. So anybody that has the goal of wanting to get into wrestling, the first thing they got to do is just leap, go for it. And you'll find people nowadays that I think are a lot more open to helping. I think a little bit in the, back then it was kind of like there was still a little bit of that dog eat dog world, like screw you, I'm going to get over, I don't care about you, fight for the fight of the fittest. I think nowadays there's still some of that there, but it's not as prevalent. So the same thing that I told Brittany, which is, and I love that girl. She's gonna be. I'm banking on her, man. She's gonna be something. So
we think she's gonna be something too, don't we, Carl?
Yeah, man. Believe me, she's got my WrestleMania tickets. I told her when you make it, I'm front row WrestleMania. I don't want to hear no excuses. Like, you're getting me those front row tickets. But just like I told her, take it all in. You gotta take it in. Be somebody that loves this business, and don't be afraid of it. We had that stigma back then. Fans of wrestling, it was kind of like you didn't want to go and showcase that to the world. I like wrestling. It kind of had like how you were saying, that negative connotation to, like, you like wrestling? What? You like that? Or you like that fake stuff? Blah blah that. But I think nowadays it's kind of coming back around full circle, where there's so much more people that love wrestling. And when you, oh yeah, I like wrestling. Wait, what? You like wrestling? Oh, and then the conversation just starts. If you want to get into this business, have that same passion, have that same love for it, and you're going to keep on going. So that's what you need, because there's going to be rough days. There's going to be rough matches. There's going to be rough crowds. There's going to be rough opponents. There's going to be rough travels. But if you have that passion for it, and you focus on letting that passion prevail, the wrestling world is going to benefit off of whatever you do. And again, whether you're a wrestler, what I love about what you're doing with your show is you're not just honing in on wrestlers. You're honing in on referees, promoters, all of that. The advice is the same to all of them. Take it in. If you're going to be a ref, be the best damn referee that you could be. Watch how these referees work, and you'll be good. If you're a promoter, dive into your promotion. And when the boys that you hire see how much you give to it, we're that much more accepting and that much more willing to say, you know what? Maybe I'm not going to ask for the biggest payday, but I'm going to put on the best show I can put on because you deserve it for the way you're treating us and the stuff you're doing for us. And in the end, the business itself, wrestling itself, is going to benefit way much more.
That's honestly, I don't think we could have asked for anything more for advice. There's a lot of gold in what you just said there. And I think that everybody should really, really listen to what you had to say there. That is incredible.
Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah.
Well, I feel like we're getting kind of to the end here. I know usually I ask some questions around, kind of selling yourself. I feel like, I don't know that there's a whole lot more for
I feel like he sold himself pretty damn well right there, to be honest.
Yeah, baby. So I think we're gonna have to save some stuff for the next show.
Yeah, man. I'm looking forward to it, man. I love this. This, again, I look at stuff like this, and I'm grateful to y'all because I've seen the stuff that you post up. I've seen the social media that gets thrown out there, and it's like, this is what we need. This is what wrestling needs. It's mind blowing that you guys are taking the approach that you're taking, and I'm 100% behind y'all. I wish you guys nothing but success, and I love it just because, again, Will, with just talking with you, the way you sold what your guys' goal is, you heard me over there in Arizona. I'm all for it. I love it. Something different, something that the wrestling world needs. And again, I love it, man. I wish you guys nothing but the best. And I'm just so happy, man. I'm happy. I'm grateful that you guys decided, let's take a little risk on this dude right here.
All right, guys, and this is Across the Ring. We want to go ahead and take the time and thank you so much, Aydan Colt, for being here today.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. I appreciate you guys.
Absolutely, brother. And I want to remind everybody, you never know who's right across the ring.